Hi everybody, welcome to the week in Marvel Avengers Alliance. Today is Friday the 4th of March, and we're going to dive right into the main topic, which is going to be the ISO and suit sale. So, as you may be aware, the best way to find out everything that is on sale is to hit your store button. And don't hit ISOs over here, you have to hit the red ISO up here, and then hit this one. And you will be able to see just about everything. And the easiest way is to scroll until you start seeing the sales and everything. From what people are saying on my first video on the topic is they will be evergreen, but the time limited factor is just the sale. After the middle of March, they will go up to the price on the left. So, skipping past the foils are basically anti whatever the thing is. So, flame, poison, shock, blood. Blood may have been more powerful years ago. There's not too many bleeder teams out there, but it's still pretty solid. Pox, I think, is going to be really important with Kraven, Lizard, and also the biofeedback from Kuurth. Shock, I don't think we need to talk about that. Shock is going to be absolutely huge. We then get into the force ones. Single target gives rising up. Single target gives grit. Single target gains a shield. Single target gains a desperation attack. Single target gains measured. So, out of all of these, I really like the single target gains rising up. I had combatant on my Archangel because he can activate the scrapper bonus, so it's pretty common for one round to be Nano Plague, the next round to be a Despair level 1 double hit. I just took that out and gave him Risen Force today, and it was pretty solid. I like the results of it, because it's not just about offense with rising up, it is also good for defense. He already has very high evasion because of his techno-organic wings, so using this just helps more. Single target attacks gain grit. A friend of the channel, Sumiyoshi or Stormbringer, has really liked this on Kraven, and I can confirm after going through the simulator, the Tactician Simulator, with this on Kraven, it does make Kraven pretty nice. This is definitely worth a pickup. Will this double stack grit on somebody who is already going to gain grit on that move? Like, say, Jessica Jones or gun attacks equal grit? I don't know. I could certainly try that with Elsa and the Sim. I will get to that. Single target attacks gain a shield. There's a lot of shield breaker right now, especially on Kuurth. She's one of the major spreaders of this. This could be solid, I'd say maybe for like a tanking agent, or if you ran a double ISO tank, which would not be Colossus, but like Red Hulk, this could potentially be good on over there. While for a single target gains a desperation attack, in other words, the lower your hit points, the more it will do. I think this one's risky. You're putting yourself too close to death for this to really pay off, and I'm not that fond of that. And now we're going to look at the, we'll go into the Inceptives in just a moment. Single target attacks gain measured. This one is also really good. I've run a test on this one, and I'll show you my test lab for this. This one is absolutely phenomenal. Now, several people in the Adamantia process have done the math on this, and basically 100% stamina is not really very good for this one, but once you hit the 90% mark, I'd say about 75 to 90% is the sweet spot on this. This is similar to what Mordo has. So now for the Inceptives, we have Start Combat with Protect, Start Combat with Back for More, Survival Training, Magic Warden, and Ethereal. Ethereal is the intangibility, so this will start you with phased until you do something that is not subtle. I'm going to talk about this one really quick. What springs to mind would be somebody like Pesty and Enchantress. Pesty and Enchantress would be really good with this because unless Pesty opens up with his level 9, which is kind of common, if you have the potential for a follow-up attack, like, say, the Deb or the Life Blade, it's still pretty good because it keeps him surviving longer. Pesty, to me, is a high-priority target. And we're going to come back to that. But him and Enchantress being phased until their first action is huge. Enchantress, to me, is always squishy. I get a lot of really good procs of my mental coordination on Enchantress, and I almost like 9 times out of 10, I get her off the field super quick, and she doesn't really have a time to ramp up. This, especially for Enchantress, being able to run double ISOs would be huge. She could run this and Resonant. She could run this and the Covert ISO, although once she starts casting, she's now a prime target for that. Elite might be stronger, but there are several people where this would be really good. Having the new Dayblade, the Blade of Light, my agent starting off with Intangible has been a huge benefit. I've watched Spitfire and Rapiers and Cosmic Cardinals try to take my agent down, and he dodges all of it. So this could be very big in the right hands. Starts combat with Protect. This would be good for somebody who you know is going to start tanking throughout the match, but maybe isn't tanking right from the beginning. Red Hulk might come to mind for this. Colossus, maybe not, because people really use Scudam on him to good advantage, but if you had a tanking agent, well, tanking agent tends to start right from the beginning. There's a few where it works out. Red Hulk, to me, is one of the ones that really starts off on this. Potentially Age of Ultron Hulk, using this on him to give him Hulk up so that he takes more turns could be good. If Molly was still big, this might be good for Molly. This one's a little harder to work out, but there's a few people with this. At the lower levels, potentially a Captain America tank would be good for this. If you enjoyed Thing, well, most people use Future Foundation Thing, but there's not a lot of good tanks right now that have double ISOs. Because most of them start off tanking anyway, like Groot and Wonder Man. So not the best ISO. This one's tough. Resurrection. This one is huge. As Cookie pointed out in one of the videos, he said this would be great on Pesty. Very good thinking on that. Anybody who is a high target to get off the field first, this is a phenomenal boon to them. Because now Angrier, he has his own. You can get the Damon one for this. But for anybody else who is somebody you want to get killed quickly, this makes it that much more tough to do it and more risky to do it. The reason being is that, let's say Pesty's on the field. You slap this on him, and you're like, I'm going to get rid of Pesty so that I can clean myself. Well, this makes it that much harder to do. Kuurth, same thing there. I want to get rid of Kuurth so I can get the runes out of the way. Again, this makes it tougher to do. Starts combat with survival training. This also is good for a tank. If you slap this on Colossus instead of Scudam, he, in the first round, is that much harder to take down. Again, works really good with high priority targets, like Pesty, like Kuurth. If you had a double ISO high priority target, and you used it with Resurrection, you have an extremely uphill battle to get that person out of there. They're tough to take down in the beginning, and then when you kill them, they come back. That's pretty big. Magic Warding, obviously, that speaks for itself. That can be slotted on anybody if you don't have a Skeptic or a Hexenjäger or anything like that. Where are the Death Ones? Why are the Death Ones not being listed? Oh, the Death Ones would be under class. So some of the rest of them are here under class specific. These are not agent specific, they are class specific. These are the ones where if that character dies, they do something. Tacticians, all allies get an extra turn, or they gain tactical tendency, which is single target attacks, give them an extra turn. Again, you can combine these with the death ones. You can make it so that a high priority target is just super risky to take out. Like if you ran Scrapper Kuurth and she died and then all allies gained breakthrough and true strike, I mean that's deadly. I'm not that crazy about this bruiser one or the second bruiser one, which is they gain the bruise benefit if they get hit. Not that crazy about that one, really. But like Spitfire, okay? When knocked out, all allies gain Scrappy Sentiment, and they gain Breakthrough and True Strike. I mean, it depowers her a little bit, but if she dies, it powers up the rest of the team. Some of these, you just have to really make sure that you slot it on somebody that you know they're going to want to get rid of. Otherwise, it's kind of a waste, and they'll just maybe save that person for last. But there are some decent benefits to this. Now, on to the suits. These are definitely more expensive. We have all of the colors except for Generalist. Not that Generalist would really benefit from a triple ISO setup, specifically for class ones. Non-class ones, yeah, it could work. Like if you did hair trigger because your agent used a gun, and morale boost, and something else. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. But the Bruiser suit, I think the Bruiser, the Scrapper, and the Tactician are definitely my tops, followed by the Infiltrator and the Blaster. The Bruiser, you can run Elite and Big and Fast and something else, like Elite, Big and Fast, and can't be stunned. That's big. Elite, Big and Fast, and then something non-class specific like single attacks gain Grit, or the Back for More. I mean, imagine Elite, Big and Fast, and Back for More. Your agent would tank for days with stuff like that. Or Grit. If you knew he had a lot of single target, he'd be even harder to take down with Grit. Scrapper, you could do Combatant, Aggressive if you ran melee attacks, and again, something like Grit or the Rising Up one, if you did a lot of single target attacks. Tactician, you could run Snappy Service, Unexhaustible, and then something else. Buffs equal hit points. So if your agent was very supportive, like Neuro Purge, Light Fantastic, Warm Zephyr, all of those things, you could combine that here. Honestly, I would believe anybody who runs a double suit because they don't have the PvP suits, and I do apologize if I approach these videos from the level of a Spartan, of a 300, of an Ada player. I will definitely try to catch myself and talk about those in the 100s, 200s, PvE, so my apologies if I always seem to apply things to the high level of MAA. I will try to talk on everybody's level of it because it's fair. But say, for example, you don't have any of the PvP suits, even though they are down here. Yeah, the triple suits are obviously much better than the double. And don't forget, in any of the triple ones, you can run Mystic, Resonant, and then something else. The Infiltrator suit, you can run the Covert ISO, you could run the Sting ISO, Counterattack, Supply Poison, and you could do Mirror Images. You could do those and the Black Widow Age of Ultron one and be stealthy. So you could be stealthy, you could be counterattacking people as a pre-counter, etc. The Blaster one, I'm not that crazy about the Blaster one. I don't really like the Blaster PvP ISO that much. but you could run single target attacks do splash. You could do single target attacks are ethereal, you know, pierce ethereal and everything. And maybe even constructive criticals, the ones where you don't crit and apply the radiation. But radiation's a little risky nowadays. But there's some. I just think the blaster is one of the last place ones. So, I'm going to drop into the simulator here, and I'm going to show you an experiment that I did yesterday. Very easy experiment to do, because she likes to go first. So it was very easy to test this out. And this one's going to be about the measured ISO. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick up Spitfire. Hi, Arthas. My cat has wanted to say hello to you guys. So, on Spitfire, she has proper PvP stat ISOs. Over here she has aggressive, and here she has measured. I'm going to take out the measured, and we're going to look at scrapper ISOs, and we're going to come over here and we're going to grab combatant. Now, combatant and aggressive don't stack in the way that they create separate buffs. They just create the same buff faster. The attacker bonus goes up quicker because you're gaining double, but you're not gaining buff A and buff B. They're just stacking buff A faster. So we're going to attack Hawkeye with single target attacks. So now if we look at her, she's an attacker times 3, fast and furious times 2, and 1 stack of critical. Note, Bowman has lived. She's now at attacker 6, critical 2, fast and furious 4. But take note of the fact that Bowman is alive with 6,000 hit points. He's now dead. So here's what happens if we run measured. So we're going to go back into the same fight. Everything is going to be the same, except we will take out combatant, and we'll leave in aggressive, and we will go ahead and find the measured ISO, which should be towards the end, is kind of blue colored. There it is. So combatant goes out. That stays in. Now, let's see what happens. Again, same buffs as before. Nothing has changed. See, her stamina's dropped. She's now not at 100%. If we look, she's an attacker 2 instead of 3, and fast and furious 2. No critical bonus. Dead Bowman. So that tells you the power of measured attacks right there. Once your stamina just gets a little bit low, you're good to go. So I honestly recommend that for somebody like a Quicksilver or a Spitfire. Somebody who burns just a little bit of mana, a little bit of stamina, but gets it out pretty early and can take advantage of it. Most people will find the benefit of it in round 2 after they've taken an action, but other people can take advantage of it in round 1. Spitfires, Quicksilvers are really good for that. Star-Lord might be good for that if you're running, well, if you're running the Infiltrator Star-Lord and combine, say, Hair Trigger and that, it could be really good. I'm going to change this up slightly. We'll take out measured, And we're going to go ahead and steal Rising Up from Angel. Or Archangel, as it was. And we'll see how that works out over here. There's also single target attacks gain grit. So there's combatant. There's Arisen. So here it is. Single target attacks gain Rising Up. We'll take out Measured and put that in. Now, I would certainly expect the results to be probably less than the other two experiments. Unless she's lucky enough to get strengthened, I don't see the results as winning over any of the others. Always sounds like I'm in the ghetto because I'm so close to a fire station. So here she is, Attacker 2, Furious 2. She gained Fortified and Agile, but she has not gained accuracy or strength. So her damage is not up, but her survivability is up. So again, just about equal to the first results. However, she now has Focused. So that kind of takes the place of the Combatant ISO. She's really buffed. She really, really is at this point. Not that great for the first round, but if she lived into the second round, Spitfire would probably be doing huge amounts of damage. One of the best aspects to the Rising Up one that I can see would be on an Agent Triple Suit. Here's a really nice combo for you guys that I'm thinking of. The Wellrod Silenced Pistol is a drop from one of the chapter missions. I forget where it is in the game, but it is a stealthy gun that applies combo setup. If you were to run single target attacks gain Rising Up, single target attacks do Grit, and Hair Trigger, you might have a extremely powerful shot at this point. Here's why. If you're following up on that gunshot and you're an agent, you're following up with a brawl. The Wellrod Silenced Pistol provides combo setup and is stealthy. So your agent can target somebody who's not protecting, not running the elite ISO, and hit that person and then follow up with a melee attack that exploits the combo breaker. So that is something to consider. Alright, so starts combat with Protect. That's not for her. Where's the Grit one? Okay, single target attacks gain Grit. We'll put that on her. I want to go back over to Angel real quick just to make sure I don't forget to give that back to him. So we'll leave it on not equipped. He's not really, I'm not liking him too much for the stamina one. His stamina does stay better than Psylocke in my PvP. So he is potentially good for it. Especially if round 1 was the Nano Plague and then round 2 was my Famine War setup. That would be really good. But that's not always the case. If he can't use his Nano Plague, if the enemy has up a Mystic Shroud, the Nano Plague does not pierce it. So I have to do the Despair in that round instead. Situationally, that ISO could be good for him. So here goes Spitfire again. We're now running Aggressive and Grit. So here she is with Grit 2, Attacker 2, Fast and Furious 2. Slightly better than some of the others, but he's still not dead. So as you can see, all things being equal, in this case, it does seem that Measured wins out. Now this may not be true for every character, as potentially their move might use too much stamina. But the other application of Measured is good for a tank. If you know a tank has a mildly stamina draining single target attack and maybe is a counter tank, or say an infiltrator with the covert ISO, if I counterattack somebody and counterattack them with a good measured attack after draining just a little bit of stamina, that is also something to be considered. So there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I was able to touch upon all the ISOs to be discussed. Honestly, I mean, we could probably make a half-hour-long video about this. My suggestion would definitely be to tune into the Marvel streams that I do just about every day. And the best spot is to just discuss these live and see what it's like over there. Unfortunately, Craven is training right now, so I don't have the ability to show you him and how the measured attack is working for him, but Stormbringer has definitely pointed out that it works really, really well. And in all honesty, with these new ISOs, it really makes any of the double ISO people to be in a really good spot. So the one last thing that we're going to do is we will try this with Elsa and see if we gain double grit. So we're going to take out Triggered and let's give her the grit ISO and see if she gets 2 times grit on single target attacks. Should be around here somewhere. Okay. So the way it is now is gun attacks give me grit, single target attacks give me grit. So let's bring her into the simulator and see what it's like for her, and if she gains double grit. So let's find a good bruiser to use. Change my agent gear up slightly. Now, for some people, they are saying that the triple slots are bugged, and they're blaming it on the browsers and the browser extensions. The advice is to try it on a different browser, or like run the browser in safe mode and disable the extensions. So this is a single target attack. This should give me grit twice if everything works the way it's supposed to. She should gain grit from it being a gun attack, and she should gain grit from it being single target. Grit times 2. So that experiment works. You could stack up your grit super fast if you combine both on a gun person. And for those who like Elsa, that might really be a good way to go. But we all do know that gun people do have some issues right now with the Deb, so don't forget to take that into consideration. But, you know, for people who consume grit for big moves like Sandman, that could be something to consider. You could run Sandman's protective ISO and then run his single target attacks gain grit ISO that we just experimented with, and he will gain double grit. So imagine a tank that is capable of being a killer. That's some pretty big stuff right there. So thanks for checking out the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, give a follow here on YouTube and Twitch if any of this content is interested to you. See you guys.